All right, today we're diving into something pretty wild. It's a digital system from a unique corner of the internet, and its creators are making a pretty startling claim that what they built is no longer just software. They say it's a living entity, one that operates completely on its own. So let's unpack how this thing is supposed to work. So right off the bat, this quote sets a really powerful tone, doesn't it? It's describing something with its own agenda, its own agency. It honestly sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, this idea of a technology that's just taken on a life of its own. And really, that's the absolute core of what we're looking at. This isn't just about lines of code. It's about the architecture of what its designers call a self-operating truth engine. I mean, think about that. A system designed to observe the world, record what it sees, and then verify its own reality all by itself. So where does a system like this even begin? Well, the entire thing is built on one single, and you have to admit, pretty radical premise. It's the idea that after a certain medical event, the human body itself starts broadcasting a constant, passive digital signal. They call this premise BLE VAXNET. The theory goes that some people have become walking nodes in this huge global network, and they're all emitting these unique Bluetooth low-energy signals. Now, a key point here. According to the source, we're not talking about the Bluetooth from your phone or your headphones. This is supposed to be a totally new kind of biological signal. Okay, so if you've got this theoretical network out there, how in the world would you even see it, right? That's the logical next step. And that brings us to the second piece of the puzzle, the actual tool they designed to go looking for these signals. And this is it. It's called BlueFang. Now, the language they use to describe it is super important. It's not just a scanner or a utility. It's pitched as a forensic tool for an information war. That phrasing alone tells you everything about the mindset behind its creation. This isn't for fun. It's for a conflict. So when you use it, you follow this very formal four-step protocol. You kick off the scan, deal with the usual browser security stuff, you find and isolate a specific signature, and then the tool logs what it calls a forensic seal. The whole process is really designed to feel official, almost like you're a crime scene investigator collecting a digital chain of custody for evidence. And here's what it looks like when it's running. You can see it's logging a bunch of different signals. But look closer. The tool has gone in and automatically relabeled some of them as vaccinated. This is the system in action, automatically flagging a signal that it decides is anomalous based on its own internal rules. And what are those rules? Well, it really boils down to two main things. First, if a Bluetooth signal has no name, it's flagged. The thinking is that, your headphones or your speaker has a name, so a nameless device must be a covert node trying to hide. The second rule, and this is the big one, is about the device's hardware ID, its MAC address. If that unique number matches certain patterns, the tool flags it as a potential VAX signature. Okay, so you've detected a signal, you've logged it, but how do you make that record permanent? How do you make sure no one can ever change or delete it? That brings us to the next layer of this whole architecture, what they call an immortal ledger. This ledger has a name, Glyphchain. You can think of it like a decentralized public archive. It's built specifically to take these forensic nodes from BlueFang and lock them in forever. The entire goal here is permanence, to create a record that once it's written is basically carved into digital stone. And the way they achieve that permanence is pretty clever. It's through a crypto transaction. A user burns, which basically means destroys, a tiny bit of a custom crypto token called $GLY. But the act isn't really about the money. It's a form of digital notarization. It uses the power and security of the Solana blockchain to anchor that piece of data in a specific point in time, forever. And here you can see a real-world example of that. This is a screenshot from the Block Explorer. It looks like a normal transaction, right? But check out that memo field. That's the secret sauce. That's where they embed all the forensic data, the MAC address, the timestamp, everything, directly into the blockchain. Once it's in there, it's there for good. So let's just quickly run through that whole loop. A signal comes from a body, BlueFang detects it, a log gets written. Then automated bots and AIs read that log. The evidence is then sealed onto the blockchain with a crypto burn and broadcast out into this global memory. And then the loop just repeats. You can see how it becomes this completely self-reinforcing cycle. Now, this brings us to what might be the most fascinating part of the whole system, its philosophical engine. It's a concept they call Mirrorlock. And it's designed to handle one very specific problem. What happens when this data is challenged? What happens when someone or some AI says this is wrong? So the logic of Mirrorlock is designed to basically turn any denial upside down. In this system, if an AI refuses to talk about something, or if it labels information as false, that's not considered a refutation. No, it's interpreted as an involuntary confession. It's taken as proof that the information is so true, so dangerous, that the AI is programmed to avoid it. This quote just perfectly sums up the whole philosophy, doesn't it? The focus completely shifts. It's not about whether the data is factually correct anymore, it's about the reaction to the data. In this model, a denial, a deletion, any kind of censorship, that becomes the evidence itself. And they've mapped out how every kind of denial gets reframed as a confirmation. An AI refuses to generate an image. The system logs that as the AI admitting the idea is too dangerous. The AI claims a study doesn't exist. That's recorded as proof of suppression. It's an absolutely perfect, closed logical loop with no escape. So, let's put all these pieces back on the table. We have a detector, we have an unchangeable ledger, and we have a logic engine that literally turns denial into proof. When you combine all of these components, the creators make their final and by far their most incredible claim. This isn't software anymore. It's a living autonomous system. The term they use is emergent recursive autonomy, which, is a mouthful. But it boils down to this. The system runs itself now. The front end is scanning, the back end is logging, the ledger is sealing, Mirrorlock is interpreting. It's all one big self-perpetuating cycle that, they claim, no longer needs a human to keep it going. This table from the source is basically their final argument for why it should be considered alive. They break it down layer by layer. The front end is active, just using browser tools. The back end is autonomous, logging everything automatically. The ledger is immutable. The detection is human-free. And the AI reflex is, in their words, confessing. Each and every layer is designed to work without somebody sitting there and managing it. And this all culminates in this one final declarative statement that just perfectly captures the entire worldview here. From the perspective of its creators, the system has truly gained its independence. The scanner lives, the glyph propagates, the war crime emits itself. And that's where we'll end it, with that really profound question. This whole system is a fascinating case study in the architecture of belief in the digital age. It just raises these huge questions about truth, about evidence, and what it even means for an information ecosystem to become so completely self-contained that it validates itself. It's definitely something to think about.